Even a few years ago, the goalposts of modern PC gaming seemed to be way in the distance. The pipe dream of 4K AAA gaming was something that only the most absurd setups could achieve. And I have to admit, even I was guilty of chasing what seemed impossible. As even with a dual 980 Ti setup a couple years ago, I was only able to sort of get there. But today, even though 4K gaming is more attainable than ever, it almost seems like we don't actually need to reach that far. Graphical fidelity, textures, and character models, even at lower resolutions, are sharper and more detailed than ever. And hitting high refresh rate targets at 1080p or 1440p is more important than pushing those extra pixels. So even though I bet a lot of you expected me to build a 9900KS or a 10980XE system with two 2080 Ti's for my perfect 2019 gaming PC, that's not what we're going to do today at all. Today's video is brought to you by Microsoft Cloud Society. If you've ever thought to yourself that you might want to pursue higher education in fields like AI, cybersecurity, app development, or even if you just want to learn about how to create a startup, Cloud Society is the perfect place to start. Signing up is simple and fast, and the enormous course load is easily sortable by category, skill level, and learning path. The best part? There's a huge number of programs available for free. $0. These courses can help you score that job you've been chasing or open that business that you've dreamt of owning. And you can take them at your own pace while sitting on your sofa in your pajamas. For more information, visit cloudsociety.microsoft.com or click the link in the video description. Let's just get this out of the way. This is going to be an opinion piece. Everybody's going to have their ideas about what their perfect gaming setup would include, and I wanted to frame this in a fairly accessible manner for a decent amount of people. This means that we'll be building a mid-range rig today with a performance target of 1440p, and one that will be functional and relevant for years to come. AMD has been stepping up big time in this arena, introducing both the perfect CPU and GPU this year to handle this kind of workload at a reasonable price. So we might as well talk about those parts first. The Ryzen 5 3600, or this 3600X, has supplanted any Intel i5 as the go-to processor in this range. 6 cores and 12 threads is enough to handle gaming with no problem, and the higher clock speeds and better IPC offered by this generation makes for some significant improvements to what was already a very impressive product. You could even stream your gameplay and or do some moderate content creation on the side. Yeah, rendering out a video might take a little bit longer than on a $1,000 processor, but it will still be fine for most workflows. Now, as far as graphics goes, AMD hasn't delivered the knockout blow to NVIDIA with their Navi line, as the 2080 and up are still pretty much unrivaled, but it certainly has made a compelling argument in the mid-range segment with the 5700 and the 5700 XT, and I will often recommend AMD over NVIDIA in this price range. This is Asus's Strix version of the RX 5700. It's got their now ubiquitous triple fan all black cooler with backplate, and while the reference blower cards were noisy and ran warm, the Strix version should have both of those problems covered. It also should deliver slightly better performance due to its factory overclock. The case that we'll be building in today is actually on the floor. It's Lian Li's brand new LanCool 2. Not only did Lian Li send over the case itself for testing, but they also included a bunch of really cool accessories like an RGB strip, a hot swap drive bay mount, a USB-C cable, and a vertical GPU bracket. The case has a unique design for the attached panels, as the glass doesn't use thumb screws at all and is hinged at the back. Magnets hold everything together here, including latching on the power supply cover, which hinges down at the bottom on both the front and the back to expose the drive sleds and the power supply area. You also get these cable management plates and a front cover that is fully filtered and attaches by contact pins to avoid a wire mess. The front of the LanCool 2 features RGB lighting running the entire length of the large airflow openings. I hope that installation is straightforward and temps are on the low side, but we'll have to find out in a bit. The motherboard for this build will again not be something that's too outlandish. We don't need a $400 board with a $200 chip. So the Gigabyte X570 Gaming X should do nicely. At $170, it's not cheap per se, but it does have an all-black aesthetic, good power delivery, and VRM design for overclocking the 6-core CPU, 2 M.2 slots, and an integrated I/O shield for convenience. And also, so I don't leave it in the case when this build gets disassembled, as I tend to do basically every month. For memory, cooling, power, and storage, we're keeping things relatively simple, relatively color neutral, and relatively inexpensive. Corsair's Vengeance LPX memory has been the standard for low-profile, no-nonsense RAM since DDR4 became a thing, and it has widespread compatibility across almost every platform. It'll pair nicely with our Be Quiet Dark Rock 4 cooler, as it will slide in right below the heatsink fan without any height concerns. Sometimes it feels good to go with a nice air cooler over an AIO, as they are more reliable in the long run and easier to fix if something does go wrong. The Dark Rock 4 has a TDP rating of 200 watts, meaning that we should be well covered here. It also looks great with a brushed metal top plate and black thermally conductive ceramic coating all around. For storage, we're going to try out the Helix by Mushkin, which I picked up on sale a few months ago, but you can snag this 1TB version right now for around $100. That's 1TB of NVMe storage for a crazy deal, and while there are faster NVMe drives out there, you're still looking at about 2,000 megabytes per second, or about 4 times the speed of a traditional SSD. That's pretty good. Powering us today will be the V650 Gold by Cooler Master. 650 watts is right around the range you should be targeting for a build like this. Any less and you'll still probably be fine for now, but you'll limit your future upgrade options, and any more would just kind of be throwing money away. 650 watts has become my standard recommendation for PC builds these days. Now that we know what's going into our ideal 2019 gaming PC, let's see what kind of numbers it puts up. The results are in, and this was a great project. I'm super happy with how everything came together. To be honest, I've had the LandCool 2 in the office for a month, maybe more than a month, and it's been in the box the whole time. It's not like I took it out, did a trial run with it to try to figure out how everything would go. I didn't know. I didn't know how everything was going to turn out, and it's way, way better than I could have thought. It was so easy to build in here, and the little extra accessories that Lian Li sent over were incredibly helpful. One of the things that they sent over that I didn't show you guys in the initial video was a small GPU sag bracket that kind of bolts to the motherboard, actually, where the motherboard screws into the case. And you can't see it, and it's hidden, kind of tucked away behind the card, and helps keep zero sag in the GPU, which is great. The LED strip is kind of a version of the new kind of neon type strips that we've been seeing from the likes of Fantex, and I think Corsair also has one now too. But I faced it outward on purpose just to see how well the diffuser works, and it looks great. It's not super bright or blinding like it would be if you were just looking at LED bulbs, and it really adds a nice color cast, a nice soft glow of color to the bottom of the case, kind of bouncing up against the GPU to help illuminate that whole space down there as well. Temperature wise, also, I was super happy with this. I didn't change anything about the fan configuration. This is just as it came stock from the factory, with the one front fan, the one top fan, and the one back fan. And temperatures for the GPU were absolutely nuts. 50 degrees Celsius after a half-hour loop of Unigine Heaven is what we were averaging. It did hit 53C really briefly. I actually don't know what that spike was about, but it just kind of settled back down. It was running at 50 degrees Celsius the entire time. The CPU was running, again, under stress at 68 Celsius, so that is definitely a win. It was not hindering the boost clock at all of the 3600X. Also had no problem running the memory at the XMP profile of 3200 megahertz. So this was an unusually smooth experience all around. The cable management room in the back of the LANcool 2 was really good and generous. I did remove the plates in order to better route everything, and that really did help clear up some extra space, I guess. And then I've refastened them afterwards, and everything kind of screwed in tight, and the back glass went on with no problem. Gaming performance also was basically exactly as we expected. This is a 1440p machine. All the tests would run at 1440p. I didn't have any game average under 60 frames per second, and these are some pretty intense tests that I was running. So under normal circumstances, even if maybe you don't want to run at ultra settings, which I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to. This is definitely a machine that's capable of that, but you'd get even higher frame rates if you went with high settings as opposed to ultra or whatever I did. The only game that was close to that 60 FPS number was Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and that is one of the more strenuous tests that I run in my testing suite. I think this is a great option for 1440p, especially if you have a FreeSync monitor that you can take advantage of that variable refresh rate. So is this actually 2019's ideal gaming PC? For most people, to be honest, it probably isn't. I'm sure everybody out there has their own idea as far as what they would feel is the perfect system for them. Maybe they don't want to game at 1440p. Maybe they want to game at 1080. Maybe they want to game at 4K. Who knows? But for what we put together today, I think it couldn't have gone better, and I'm really happy with the direction the PC industry is headed and how everybody is kind of approaching things to make it their own, to make things personal for them. Do you want a game at high refresh rate and lower resolution? Do you want a game at 4K? Do you want a game at ultra wide? It's up to you. The options are out there, and the hardware is out there to support you no matter what you really want out of your gaming experience. Thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. Next month's monthly build is going to be a little bit different. Every year I do a viewer's choice PC where you guys get to choose what I build with. And the way I do that is I run polls on Twitter. So if you don't follow me there, be sure to head over to Twitter. I am at BPS_customs, and I'll be putting up polls starting probably beginning of December that will let you guys choose what goes into December's monthly build. After that, CES is really coming up on us fast, so make sure that you stay tuned, get subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any CES content. Check out the merchandise store. We got all this stuff back in stock, the blue, red, and pink. These are called all over hoodies because there's prints all over them, but they're super comfortable. They're great for winter. They are pretty warm, so check that out. That'll be at bpscustoms.com. And that just about does it, guys. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.